You're getting so mad.
I'm not mad, I'm just like, this is
I think you're gonna be surprised. I think you're gonna be surprised. Is it recording?
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Trying something new at this vlog. Rico and I have been brainstorming how to make them better.
I'm sorry. Bless
you, Rico. He was trying so hard not to sneeze. He was like, don't do it. Please don't do it. He was trying so hard not to sneeze. We're keeping that in. That was great. So, my new bodybuilding journey. Because I never bodybuilded. I never did any bodybuilding. I was a powerlifter my whole life. And so I hired a coach, Paul Carter, who's an incredible coach, an incredible bodybuilder. I just want to focus on getting bigger, not just stronger. Obviously both at the same time, but I actually want to focus on muscle hypertrophy. Right now, today is the start of week 3. And so what we're gonna do is sort of explain how the first 2 weeks have went with some shots of training over the past couple of weeks, and then explain what's gonna go on for the next week, because I actually just had a call with Paul to discuss what the next week of training is gonna look like. So the first week of training, I fucked it up. And that's like what we're calling the title of this this vlog is I fucked up.
Yeah, for the first phase, I literally just went in, I did 2 sets of everything and left. It was like 30 minutes tops. Okay, did I f that up?
What Paul did was he wrote in the program, basically for every set of exercises, for every exercise, just 2 sets. And I remember being like, it's really low volume, but I'm gonna follow the program, so I just did 2 sets of every exercise. At the end of the week, I got on the phone with Paul, and I was like, hey man, just to clarify, I know you wrote 2 sets. Was that a mistake? Was that actually what you meant? He was like, well, I mean, it's 2 actual hard work sets at an extremely high intensity, but you should still be doing warm-up sets before that. So he was like, did you really only do 2 sets per exercise? I was like, yeah, that's what was fucking written. He was like, no, you idiot. You want to make sure you do some warm-up sets to stimulate the muscle, and then you do 2 sets at a very high intensity. And so when you get to the last couple of reps in the set, it's burnout. It's brutal. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I f***ed that up. Whenever you're learning a new skill, whenever you start working with a new coach, whenever you start trying to learn something new or do something, you're gonna make mistakes. It's part of the process. You always make mistakes. You always have this learning curve that you have to overcome. When you first start counting calories, it's difficult. You're not gonna realize that, oh my God, I didn't track the calories from the cream that I put in my coffee, or oh my God, I was weighing my food after I cooked it instead of before I cooked it, and you only learn that through the process. So I wanted to share with you, like, I f***ed up the first week of training. I made big mistakes. Now week 2, I went through and I did it great. It was fantastic, I hit that perfectly. Now today was the first day of week 3. Felt fantastic. We got a bunch of clips from training. I'm super excited about it. I went up in weight in everything this week, today. So from last week to this week, all of my weight went up. I went up about 5 to 10 pounds and everything. Felt super strong. My shrugs today were about 10 pounds heavier. And actually, that's another thing. I wanted to go up 5 pounds in my shrugs, but some fucker was using the dumbbells, and so I couldn't use them. So I just, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna go up 10 pounds. And I used those. And so progression in everything, which is great.
Rico's really in his head right now. He's not sure how to turn all of this into video footage. At one point, this is gonna become content of a great video. I don't know when that's gonna be, but sooner rather than later. And in the comments, make sure you tell Rico, hey, great video.
I'm ready when you are. Okay. Smiling back. You should curl like that.
I also know that that's not gonna be like that every week. There are gonna be days and weeks where either I'm sick, or I didn't get enough sleep, or just normal plateauing.
They think, well, I'm in a plateau. That's the word they love. I'm in a plateau.
That's part of the process. And that's sort of what Rico and I are trying to do with this journey. I don't know, I hate that phrase. I hate the phrase like, your fitness journey. I don't know, I don't like it. You're on your journey. It's like, whatever. We're gonna show you along the process so that you can follow along and be completely transparent so that you know that all of this is normal. Paul and I got on the phone That's another thing. Why, whenever I talk about being on the phone with someone, I always do this. Like, as if you wouldn't know what I mean when I say, like, I got on the phone with Paul, I have to do this fucking thing. Yeah, we were talking on the phone. Like, of course, yeah, okay, so we were on the phone. Paul was talking about how he had a huge cheat meal yesterday. He had a huge cheat meal, and Rico can plug in clips of it and everything.
Go!
What's up, Mr. Paul Carter? How you doing today, my friend?
Hey, man.
How you doing, sir? The sushi refeed?
Yeah, dude, it was like so much. I didn't get a picture, but it was like so much. I won't put it up because I'm like, well, everybody's think I'm a fucking glutton. Which I am when I
I don't ever think I'm a glutton, even though I am a glutton.
The chocolate after, because we got 20 cookies, and then we went to the store in the mall. It has like all these, like high-end chocolates and shit involved. I don't know. It was like 4 pounds of chocolate.
Holy
So,
shit. You ate 4 pounds of chocolate and a ton of sushi on top?
I had the sushi, I ate probably 15 of the cookies, and then I ate most of the chocolate.
So are you fasting today?
No, I just ate.
Paul was talking about how he had like a ton of sushi, and he had like, he bought 20 cookies, he had like at least 15 of them, and he had the better part of about 4 pounds of chocolate. I was like, are you fasting today? Like, what are you doing? He was like, no, man, I actually just ate. People feel like they fuck up, and when they feel like they fuck up, they use that as an excuse to continue fucking up, and they use that as an excuse to not get back on track because they feel like all their progress is ruined. Just because you go off track one day, even if it's a massive amount of food, it doesn't mean anything as long as you get back on track. And this goes sort of to a concept I spoke about with Paul called calorie clumping. A lot of people feel like if they go off track for one night, for example, they go off track for one dinner, even for vacation, they feel like they ruined all their progress. When people gain weight, a lot of weight, unwanted weight, it doesn't happen overnight. It usually happens over a pretty extended period of time. So a lot of times over the holidays, over birthdays, over long vacations, you plug a lot of them together, people will gain a lot of weight, and then they feel like they already screwed up. So they don't get back on track, and they just sort of keep going off, and they keep going off. And this, one of the arguments against calorie counting that people will say is, well, so what you're saying is that if you have, actually, you know what, I'm gonna do this in Kenzie. Oh, really? Calories are that important? Okay, so what you're saying is if I eat 15 calories extra of broccoli every day for a year, I'm gonna gain like 20 pounds just because I had 15 extra calories of broccoli? Is that what you're saying? Well, fucking technically, Kenzie, yeah, that is what I'm saying, but most people don't gain weight that way. Most people aren't having a little bit extra calories every day. What usually happens is people have periods of time in their life where they eat a lot extra. Vacations and birthdays and holidays where they eat a lot, and they gain a lot, and then they don't get back on track because they felt like they fucked up. So they have a period of time, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, where they go off track a lot, gain a lot of weight, and then they think, oh my God, I've got to get back on track. So then they get back on track for a small amount of time, and maybe they lose a couple pounds or 5 pounds, and then when it gets difficult and hard, then they're like, oh, well, fuck it, I quit. It's not working for me. So then that's their new baseline right there. But maybe they gain 10 pounds. And you do that over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you've gained 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds over that time frame, not because you were having 15 fucking extra calories of broccoli a day, but because you were clumping periods of time together in which you were eating way more than you should have, and you didn't balance it by just getting back on track. So this is sort of the long roundabout way of saying, like, I f***ed up week 1, but I got on track week 2, and I'm already on it for week 3, and I feel fucking good. And I'm super excited to be showing you all of this, and to be just sort of taking you on this fitness journey with me to see how I can do with bodybuilding. So that's it.
So you talked about, like, on your Instagram story, you're gonna start tracking your weight again. Okay. Right?
I asked, okay, yeah, so Rico was like, you spoke about on your Instagram story, you're gonna be tracking your weight again. I asked if people wanted me to, and I got like a 75-25 response, 75 yes, 25 no.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, I want to, because it shows people the fluctuations. On the other hand, I don't, just because I personally don't weigh myself every day. When I'm not doing that, like, that's not personally what I do. The reason I did it for 90 days is because I wanted to show you actually what happens. I wanted to give you proof. I wanted to show you. And so number one, I have an entire story in my Instagram, if you don't follow me, that's devoted to 90 days of weighing myself so you can see the fluctuations. I also have an entire video on YouTube that explains how weight fluctuations work and the science behind why it fluctuates and how you can predict your own.
I'm in a plateau.
I don't think I will now. What I think I will do though, Rico, is I think that when I go back to a fat loss phase and I get really into it, I will weigh myself daily to show people again. But for right now, I don't think I'm going to.
Your favorite machine?
Fucking hate this fucker.
You should just be like a gym fuckery account and be like, how can I do curls on here? Just start doing curls.
And what Paul is saying, and sort of what we spoke about on today's call and we've spoken about many times, is that the best research on muscle hypertrophy and muscle growth consistently shows that volume, doing more sets and more reps to fatigue, is way overrated. And what's underrated and what's massively more important is the intensity with which you approach every set and actually doing low to moderate volume with a higher intensity rather than higher volume with a moderate intensity. And that actually goes against what I was taught, which is one of the reasons I'm really excited to try this, because everything I've read, so much of it has been high volume, low moderate intensity, high volume. It's all I've read. It's all that's been taught to me. So to see this, it's been like, oh, are you sure? This is also a great opportunity for me to practice what I preach in terms of don't just do what you've heard. If something goes against what you believe or what you've been taught, try it. Give it a shot. I think that's probably one of the best lessons I can give anybody. If someone's like, what do you think of keto? What do you think of vegan? What do you think of intermittent fasting? What do you think of Atkins? What do you think of intuitive eating? Whatever it is, try it. It would be outrageously presumptuous of me to look at this program from Paul and be like, no, that's not gonna work, without actually trying it. So I'm giving this my best shot and like already seeing significant improvements. Like I feel really good, I feel strong, definitely seeing some physique improvements already. We'll do physique updates throughout these videos as well, and that's it. So right now we're in the acclimation phase. Then in the intensification phase, he's a little bit more volume, but also a little bit more intensity to the sets. He's adding some cluster sets. One of the things he's adding to the intensification phase is he's adding a 50% set to the program. So essentially what that means is, let's say the first exercise on chest, shoulders, tricep day is a low incline Smith machine bench press, all right? So he has 2 sets of 8 to 10, which basically if I'm doing it normally, it would just be 2 sets of 8 to 10 reps and I'm done. But what he added here is an extra set at 50% immediately after the main work set. So for example, if it's 2 sets of 8 to 10, and we can like write this on the screen just to make it easier. Essentially what I would do is I would do 1 set of 8 to 10 reps. And let's say I get 10. I wait 60 seconds and I keep the same weight on the bar and I do another set and I try and get at least half of the reps I got before. So if I got 10 reps, I try and get 5. If I got 8 reps, I try and get 4. That's where the 50% comes in. And so then the following week, I'd either try and increase the weight or I would try and make sure that I got a little bit higher on the 50% set. It's always small improvements. It's not massive improvements, but little bits every week. And essentially what Paul does here that I like is it gives you the opportunity to improve in many different facets. Essentially, it's setting you up for some personal records every training day, which I love, because the more personal records you get, the more motivated you're gonna be, the more excited you're gonna be. And I think the best training programs are the ones that allow you to see consistent progress, whether it's in sets, whether it's in reps, whether it's technique, actual weight being used. There's a million ways to improve. And what this does is really highlights there's so many different ways, and that's what I'm gonna be focusing on, is trying to get a little bit better in each of those.
I would say the final thing, like improvement that you've made, is like you've started using, especially with your pulling movements, those versa grips.
Yeah, it's actually really good. So the first week, another mistake that I made, another up that I had, Paul had a whole day of just back, right? Just back and biceps, which I'm a power lifter. Like I don't do that. I have upper and lower body. Like I have squats and bench and deadlift. Like I don't have a back day. And I would actually never really use wrist wraps or versa grips or anything, because I never wanted my grip to become a weak link. I never wanted my grip to prevent me from lifting more in my deadlift, so I would always train without wrist wraps. With bodybuilding and now having a back day, if I allowed my grip to prevent me from lifting more weight that my back could handle, that would be a detriment to my back progress. So now, I don't have Versa grips, I don't really have wrist wraps, but Rico had Versa grips in his bag.
You should go get a coffee and be like, hey, how's
Could I get an iced coffee?
And I fucking love them, and they've allowed me to lift heavier weight that my back can actually handle that I wouldn't have been able to before because my grip was the limiting factor. So that's been actually a huge benefit, and it's another area where I fucked up. I just want to keep highlighting that throughout this vlog, just because, here's the thing, you can find you can go out of your way to find where you fuck up. You can focus on the things that you did wrong. You could focus on the things that you messed up on. You could focus on the things that didn't go your way. You could focus on the things that you screwed up with. You could focus on the wrong and the bad and the inconsistencies and the imperfections and the blah and the blah and the blah and the blah. It doesn't fucking matter as long as you keep trying. It's one of the things that I did with the fat loss phase. Like, I did a 10,000 calorie challenge in the middle of my fat loss diet and I still lost over 10 pounds. Still felt great. The whole point is you can fuck up. You will fuck up. You will. But you only fail if you quit. You only won't succeed if you quit. As long as you keep going, and as long as you look up these fuck-ups and these mistakes and these inconsistencies and these imperfections, as long as you look at them as just part of the process to succeeding, you can't fail. And that's what we're doing in this training, and that's one of the reasons I'm having so much fun with the program, because I'm just having a blast with it, and I'm not letting the little things, the tough things, the hard things keep me from getting back in the next day.
You're really cleaning your nails with a nail?
Yeah. So what do you want me to do in the fucking outro? Recording? Can we just make this the outro?
Just talking?
This. You telling me to do an outro and I don't want to do an outro? Okay guys, we're doing an outro. This is it. Okay, fine.
I do.
Mom, alright, fine. We're gonna go to your room. What? Okay guys, I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, could you just give it a like already and just like subscribe? Just remember, it's always about the vibes. Love you.